Hello, Rick Simpson. You participated here cannabis fair, and at the same time you met people who are asking questions about healing with cannabis. In so many years, you probably met thousands and thousands of people being helped by
yes.
cannabis. And over the globe, we have millions of people being helped by cannabis. So what's the problem? I mean, is that a fear that we don't want to expose, or?
Well, but what people have to come to realize that everything we were told was nothing more than a pack of lies. Cannabis never harmed anyone. It's non-addictive. It poses no danger to the public whatsoever. But they had all this propaganda. People don't want to admit to their friends and neighbors that they use cannabis to heal. You know, if everyone that used these extracts and had great effects with them, if everyone would stand together, just stand up and tell the world. There's millions, like you said, millions and millions of people all over the planet have used this. But, I don't want my friends to know that I use cannabis. This is ridiculous. All you have to do is look at the medical history of this plant. It's endless what this plant can do for us, and not just medicine, but in all other ways too. It can save the planet and it can give mankind a future.
Yeah.
But if we continue on this path, allowing the pharmaceutical industry to rob us and kill us, because that's what they're doing, and then you get all of these bureaucrats, because they're bought and paid for, they're going along with the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
But it's really, like I said, the power in any country is the people, and supposedly the government that represents them. And I think it's just about time that the Slovenian government, did something about these bureaucrats. Repeal these laws and tell the bureaucrats to go find another job.
In Canada right now you're in a process of legalization. Yeah, you're laughing at it because it's going to be full of regulation again that are actually, I was thinking at home, blocking that the medicinal quality products could even come to the market.
The government, I'm seeing, like the Canadian government, as I understand it, they've given out over 40 different licenses to these companies to produce cannabis extracts. But the trouble is they don't want them. There's nobody in Canada, as far as I know, unless they're doing it themselves, there's nobody producing the real RSO. They're producing low quality extracts with low THC levels, and these extracts just don't have the healing abilities because there's not enough cannabinoids in them. But you see, the government is trying to downplay this. They want these companies to start using genetically modified seeds. Well, anybody who knows anything about genetic modification, I mean, we all know that cannabis, when it comes to cannabis, why do we need to genetically modify it? This plant, the natural plant itself, already has amazing healing abilities. We don't need genetic modification. As a matter of fact, we don't need genetic modification in our food supply either. This genetic modification is just a racket. And when you look at, like the company Bayer, from what I understand, they just bought Monsanto. Well, that's a conflict of interest. Here's a drug company buying another company that's out there producing genetically modified foods, which have much less nutrient value, which is going to cause the public to become more sickly. Then they're going to have to go see their doctors, and then they're going to be out there taking more medications. And who are they going to buy them from? Well, that would be Bayer and companies like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
This is nothing more than a racket.
And probably the best solution is to really have a quality stuff is to seed it in your own garden.
Of course.
That really can be ecological, locally produced, organically produced
Right.
cannabis, and that's probably the first step for quality medicine, right?
Well, I would have to say that would be the best way to approach it. I mean, if everyone was allowed to grow this, and they truly are, I mean, if everyone was growing this, like all of their friends and neighbors, they'd all be growing it too, and they'd all be looking at, who's growing the best. Then the following year, they would be growing better strains. It would just keep evolving to higher and higher levels. And I mean, this medicine could be evolved to much higher healing levels than are currently available. It's just a matter of of working with the plant, and then I know a lot of little tricks when it comes to growing plants to make them more powerful, medicinally. But it would be the greatest thing that could ever happen to the human race.
Yeah.
Just everybody growing it, everybody producing their own medicine. For those who can't grow their own, well, then there's companies that actually could go out and fill that void. But as far as regulations or anything like that goes, if you're growing plants in your own garden, I don't care how many plants you're growing, as long as you're not trafficking, you're not harming anyone. And if someone wants to make it like a lifetime supply, I mean, if they want to go out and grow 500 plants in their backyard and make a lifetime supply for themselves and their families, why should they not be allowed to do this? The only thing I see that needs regulation here is if anyone wants to produce these extracts on a grand scale and make them available to the public, then you need quality control and you need standards in place, and the government would have to regulate that.
Right.
But when it comes to the ordinary person, people like us who want to just go grow their own, there should be no taxation and there should be no regulations whatsoever.
Yeah. And we all know that the pharmaceutical industry has a pattern for cannabis.
No one has the right to patent a plant. I don't care who it is. I mean, that's like saying, I'm going to patent a bush. This is stupid. We're not allowed to patent a plant, and they're not either.
What are we gonna get on prescription, do you think?
Well, I think you just get low-quality trash, because the pharmaceutical industry is based on return business. They want you to keep coming back for the rest of your life and giving them money. So they're not going to supply you with an extract that's actually going to heal you. It may help you a bit, but they'll never give you the high-quality extracts, like I've told the public how to make. The pharmaceutical industry can make CBD extracts, CBN extracts, CBG extracts, and I mean, there's over 140 different cannabinoids. They would like to make extracts from every one of them, sell them as different medicines. So this is nothing more than a racket. They want to make more money.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you look at the real extracts like I used to produce, they contained all the cannabinoids that these medicinal strains contained. Mm-hmm. They were all there. The CBG, the CBN, the CBD, the THC. We don't need any of this. People just have to realize, it is my right as a human being to go out and grow this plant and to produce these extracts. If I come up and stand in front of someone and tell them they do not have the right to grow a medicinal plant, I mean, nobody has that right. And I don't know why the public is letting the governments get away with this, because it's a crime against humanity. People are suffering and dying everywhere who could be helped, but the governments are preventing that from happening. This is totally wrong. And when you look at it, this is genocide, for God's sakes. Because when you deny a medicine that can heal people and help them save their lives, and you're the government and you deny that, you're committing genocide against your own people. That's what you're doing. And genocide is a crime of the highest order.
You mentioned one of and the only good practice in Chile?
Oh, in Chile, yes. Well, see, they had that huge march in Santiago, Chile, back in 2014. Over 200,000 people marching through the streets of Santiago demanding legalization. Mm-hmm. And guess what? They got it. Foundation Daya is producing extracts there and treating people. They're showing people how to grow cannabis properly and how to produce their own extracts. So I think Chile is one of the most advanced countries on the planet. What's going on here in Europe is like, well, whatever country you talk about, well, we're looking at Colorado and we're looking at all these other countries and states that have legalized, to set an example. Well, I got an example for them to set. Like I said, repeal the damn laws. These laws are not real. Get rid of them worldwide, and that sets the human race free. And it also gives our coming generations a future, because at the present time we don't have one. They're poisoning the earth more and more every day. People are getting sicker. New diseases coming out. We got to put a stop to this, and cannabis can do that.
What are your plans for the future? You have projects in Africa?
It's possible.
Yeah.
Right now we're still negotiating, but I've had a couple offers now that do look very promising. And in Africa, and like I said, in Chile, there's many countries there that are looking, at this in a more rational manner, and they want the high quality extracts for their own people, because there's an AIDS epidemic, in Africa, and so many other diseases that, this is the perfect answer for it. And it gives, all of these African nations, it would be wonderful for their economy and wonderful for their people. So I think, between Africa and South America, I believe that's where it'll really start happening in the proper way. But eventually, they're going to have to start doing the same thing here in Europe. Because, if we get this started in Africa, everybody will be leaving Europe on medical tourism to go to Africa to get the real extracts. So
And cheaper.
oh yes,
than,
bring the price down.
yeah.
For God's sakes, this is, $500 to $600 for a full cancer treatment. That's what we need. Get the price down where people can afford it. Going out and paying 3,000, 4,000 euros, that's ridiculous. And if the pharmaceutical industry has control over this, you'll be paying a lot more than that. It's like I said, no matter what the pharmaceutical industry does, they're going to want big prices. The ordinary working person, the person with the ordinary jobs, like, most of us, they simply don't have the money to play that game. So no matter what the government says, people will just simply go out, grow the plants themselves, and make their own medicine. They can't stop it, because there's so much information out there now, and so many people have been helped. Why should you be forced to go out and pay 10,000 euros for something you can grow in your backyard? I mean, if a law is not based in reality, and these laws aren't, so why are we following them? People have to wake up. They're destroying our health. They're destroying our children. With all these chemicals and pills. I mean, that's all they want to do now. Your child's got attention deficit disorder. Fill the child full of Ritalin or some of these other chemicals. They don't know what effect this is going to have in the long term. But I know what effect cannabis will have, because cannabis is perfectly safe for anyone of any age. And don't listen to this nonsense about, it's not safe for the developing mind. That is nonsense. It's just more propaganda to try to keep people away from the use of cannabis.
Right. And the truth stands for itself. You just have to find it.
That's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome, dear.